Hey everybody, it's Maha here, and I have come on today because I put up a post which was me at 46 giving birth at home. And as the founder of Embody Birth for the last 26 years, can you believe that, nearly 3 decades, one of the things that my work has evolved into over the years is looking at birth through a sacred lens. And one of the areas that really touches me about the way we give birth, where we give birth, with whom we give birth, how we feel in ourselves as mothers as we give birth, is the reflection of birth in society. And this is an area that many people disregard or don't even feel that there's a connection to the way we birth, the way we live, but also the way the society and the culture lives, and the impact that birth has on that grander scale. And the reel that I put up this morning was of me in labour with my daughter 14 years ago at home. And what I was reflecting in that reel, and you can go and take a look at it, is that the presence and the patience and the honouring of the mother and baby's journey is essential to surround you as you give birth at the centre of the experience. And what I wanted to impart is this, that when we as mothers, when we are birthing our babies, we need to go through the process of birth in its completion. Whatever arises for us, we are meant to face ourselves within the process of birth. We are not meant to be interfered with by outside anxiety, outside protocols, outside regulations and rules. Birth has no rules. Birth is an individual's process with their baby into moving through all of the experience and stages, and birth will gift us with exactly what we need when we are not interfered with. And this value of the gift of birth is what we perfume the world with. And going back to, what does the imprint of birth not only give us as mother, our baby, but society? And when we look out at society here in February 2023, what I see is a world that is hell-bent on separation, anxiety, fear, disconnect, keeping us apart. All of these things you have to understand. If we track back in the way in which birth imprint impacts the world, we will find those very same energetic responses that babies and mothers feel through birth. And therefore, that's what the world feels. Dr. Michel Odent, the French obstetrician, talked about this decades ago. And in fact, he wrote a book about the fact that mothers will no longer be birthing in love states, in oxytocic states, and the effect that that will have on culture. And I'm expanding on this. Yes, that's right. Teta has said, yes, exactly. And, Dr. Michel Odent, he endorsed my book, Dance of the Womb, because he understood the archaic parts of the brain, or the primitive parts of the brain that give birth. That's another story. But what I'm talking about is not robbing mothers and babies of the experience of birth. Everything that we need to face, everything that we need to feel, everything we need to embody is right there in our birth. And what that is a transforming energy. That is the gift that we give to the world and our children. So when we cut mothers, and when I talk about cutting in embodied birth, there's the metaphorical cutting, cutting our voice, cutting our experience, cutting who we are, cutting our energy field. And there's also the episiotomy, the cut. There's also the cesarean, the cut, when it's unnecessary. Always remember, I talk about when it's unnecessary, not emergency or necessary. So we are cutting women metaphorically and physically through the birth process. And this impacts our babies. We are cutting our babies' experience. We are cutting them into pieces. And then what happens is we are born in that state of being in pieces. And as we know, mothers are reborn. Every baby, we are reborn. But we feel we are missing pieces of ourselves that were taken from us when we were interfered with in birth. We are robbed. And then we rob the world of consciousness raising. And as many of you know, as I've taught, if those who've come on, 26 years as founder of Embodied Birth, Belly Dance Birth, I have been talking about birth as a sacred experience. Because when we are left to our own devices, when we feel that energetic internal safety, we navigate that. Every woman should have that freedom. Every woman. And as Soul My Mind Free says, I free birthed my first at 36, and it was the most transcendental experience of my life. Transcendental. Yes, that is what it's meant to be. And that transcendence that you embodied, that you experienced, is what you gift the world with. That's what you gift the world with. So the world's consciousness expands, and the expansion that we talk about in embodied birth is into love states. That's what we're meant to do in birth. Yes, thank you, Rose. Lovely to see you. Beautiful. That's right. So that expansion into that transcendence, as Soul My Mind Free has said, is what we are meant to be given through the birth process. And I think sometimes when we are educating women about birth, we get caught up in the physical aspects, but the sacred aspect of birth on a larger societal scale must be remembered, must be taught, must be part of the education, as I've been doing for nearly 3 decades. We dive deep into this stuff. Okay, so it's not just about getting my baby out. Of course, that's the basics. You know, it is much more than that. But the reason that women don't know that it's much more than that is because of all of the intervention and the impatience and the not honoring and respecting that mother and baby are at the center, and they know what they are doing. That's right. We must restore the sacred. Absolutely, absolutely. And now that I'm 60 years of age, I can't believe it, I'm stepping further and further into the wiser woman teachings of what I truly, truly know birth to be on this sacred plane. And I want women to really, really embody this and you know, take birth into their own hands and wombs and hearts, and know that every woman, everyone who births, is gifting the world with that transcendence. And regardless of the experience you have, if you have birthed in your autonomy and your sovereignty, that is what counts more than anything. Yes, the end goal experience will be different, but we don't look at that as a judgment. It's a curiosity. I walked this path that birth showed me, that I was able to embrace in that sovereignty. And then what do I do with that? Yeah? We are devaluing the experience of birth. And we have to be very, very aware that we are not being complicit in our own devaluing of the experience. by listening to the outsider above and beyond our own heart, our own womb, and our own baby. That innate knowing that you have when you give birth is the medicine that you tap into first and foremost. And everybody who's done my Embody Birth programs and my certification knows that that is where we navigate from. That is the fountain from which we embody our experience at center. So going right back to why I came on today, I put up a reel of me giving birth at 46, home water birth. My daughter's now 14. And you know, that embodiment and that memory of her birth lives inside of me for my life and lives inside of her for her life. It doesn't go anywhere. It stays with us as we walk the path of life. For me, from 46 onward, from her as a baby onward. And I can see in her that robust completion that birth gave her, that receivership of welcoming into the world that birth gave her, because I was in my sovereignty. I got to go through the whole process of birth without being cut or redirected or told what to do. Then I could listen to my body speak, my daughter speak to me through the birth process. And it's that listening and taking time to absorb those experiences of birth that is gifted to the world. So my daughters are very good at listening. Yeah? She isn't agitated and jumping around. She can actually sit in her embodiment and not make things about her. I watch her transitioning and navigating through these teen years, and I can see the gifts of birth that she is giving to the world through her birth. And as Rose says, in all its glory. This is the greatest gift we can give our children. So I say, don't let anybody rob you. Don't let anyone cut you. Don't let anyone tell you what to do unless you ask, unless you seek for that information. And that is fine. That is great. But always remember, you and your baby are at the center of the experience. And you need to go through the process of birth. And society needs that experience and that consciousness of your birth. Yep. So we can sip from the tree of knowledge that we as females carry in our wombs. It is so important that we retain that connection to who we are and what we are doing. As we say in Embody Birth, every mother and every baby knows how to give birth. We all know it's been passed through the lineage, that womb lineage, and sometimes it needs to be repaired, reflected upon, rebirthed. But we can do that when we are listening in our sovereignty. So that's what I wanted to share today. And if there's anybody who would like to take my Embody Birth, birth preparation course, Embody Birth, Unlock and Awaken Your Ancestral Womb Wisdom, you can find that in the link in the bio. And this is part of my certification. All of my certification is online. My Embody Birth, birth preparation program, and the certification part 2, all the videos that I've created for the certification to become an Embody Birth educator. Thank you, Rose. I'm back. And, love if you reach out to me. You can come and teach this vital information for birthing. This is the true womb speak. And we need mentors like myself who have walked this path, who didn't read it in an outside book. As we say in Embody Birth, the living book is within. Read her first and foremost. Yes. Resonated with every word. Thank you for the work you do. Oh, that's very beautiful. Thank you, Soul My Mind Free. I love that name. And Rose says, yes, women will experience magic by taking this course. I'm ready. Love your energy. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Rose. Yes. So, you know, sometimes I get despondent. I really do. Sometimes I think, is anybody paying attention? Is anyone listening to this wise wisdom of sacred birth? Does anybody want this wisdom? You know, in a world where we are submerged in information, and Embody Birth says, unpeel those layers, unravel those layers, and trust in the navigation. Trust in your voice. Trust in your experience. Trust in your baby. Trust that we as women have a strong voice in this arena, and that birth is one of the greatest platforms that we can embody and share this with the world. Never forget your value on this experience. So yes, we are listening, says Rose. I'm really happy to hear that. Okay. Beautiful. So get in touch at any time, and I'm always open to collaboration and teaching on other people's, you know, teaching offerings as well. And I'm happy to talk to you. Just send a message, and as Rose says, we keep going, and you will reach those who are extending themselves. Yes. Thank you, Rose, and thank you, Teta. Lots of love. So as we finish off, I'd love to, as we say in Embodied Birth, say to you all, Namaste. Lots of love. Beautiful. I look forward to hearing from you. Take care. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.